Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Phantom Trigger. Sorry that was so dark, I left the... I left my Switch sitting for a bit. It might not even come through on the video, but anyway. This is a hack and slash from Tiny Build and Bread Team, as it says on the bottom right there. The people, well, Tiny Build are previously the people who brought you Mr. Shifty on the Switch. And as you know, I wasn't that big of a fan of Mr. Shifty, but Phantom Trigger does things a fair amount better, so, you know, not too much argument with me. By the way, on this menu, you have to use the B button to go forward. It doesn't, it's weird, but there's only like one screen this isn't true on, and that's the game over screen. It's weird, I don't know why they've insisted on doing this, but anyway. Options are pretty simple: sound and music, English, language, and select difficulty. Now, the difficulty actually started on hard. I didn't put it on hard, it started there, so I figured, well, I might as well go have a go. But I was a little bit surprised to find out the only two difficulties are normal and hard was too easy. No, I'm not kidding, that is actually true. It's, I gotta admit, it was a bit surprising. There is also an arena mode, as you can see there, but the main mode is the story mode, which is designed to be replayable, which I find to be a little bit stretching it, considering the circumstances. But we'll just load into my game right away. There's not that much to see in the menus. There's actually not really that many menus at all, so we'll just screw around a bit. Now, I've actually been playing this on a different controller than normal. I've been playing it on my 8-bit Do FC Pro 30, so things are gonna look a little odd, but it'll be fine for the most part. It's not that bad. So, this is our overworld. We can go talk to people like the tree, and the tree doesn't actually tell us anything, but we can talk to people like the blacksmith here, for example, and I can give him Flint 2. However, this doesn't do anything. They did say that the game has multiple endings in the PR email I got for this game, because yes, I did actually manage to get code for this one. They did say that there are multiple endings, and one of the multiple endings is extremely obvious, because there's a really bad guy over here who tells you to give ricin to the rabbit to kill him, more or less. And of course, you can go and find these other items and hand them over to the respective people as well. If I hit the wrong button, if I hit the minus button, for me it's a select button, I can see things like this movie ticket here, which is an item that I can give to someone, so I believe I'll be able to give it to her. Boom, the door goes flying. Will you help in the next area? Not sure if I can help in the desert, but I'll try. That's nice of you. Okay, apparently I can't give it to her. Why are you talking like that? Yes, you can talk to them, but they don't really have that much to say or do. There are story cutscenes from time to time, and we will definitely see some throughout this video. But I don't know if we'll get to one of the major bosses, but frankly, I don't think we'll need to. We'll just go hop straight in. I don't want to go poisoning the rabbit, because I imagine that's a way to a bad ending, but well, we'll find out, won't we? So here we are in the main world. It doesn't look that much different from the regular hub world, does it? You can't go back to the hub world. Well, can you go back to the hub world? No, I don't think you can. Doesn't really matter. You have no real need to anyway. Ow. Okay, screw you, guy. I've got no health now. But anyway, here we are. This is Phantom Trigger. It is a fairly easy to understand hack and slash. Whoops. It's a fairly easy to understand hack and slasher. You have 3 different kinds of attacks. Your first attack that you, well, this is actually the second attack you get, excuse me. The second attack you get, and the main attack you'll be using, is on the Y button, and it is this little sword. This little sword, Jesus. Sorry about that. It is a 3-hit combo. Very simple. You also have a whip. The whip is very useful, because it allows you to pull enemies closer to you and immediately kill you. Because that's just how I do things. Restart, please. Restart, please. There we go. Right. Alright, I have to deal with this guy again. You done screwed up. Nope. Not falling for that shit this time, mate. Alright. So yeah, you also have a whip, and not only does it pull people towards you, but it can also activate ranged attacks. So if anything's got like a green aura around it, that's when you know you've got something you can do a ranged attack with. I hate these things because they do an absolute ton of damage. See? And you can't hit them while they're in the air. And now he just leaves you with this little thing that you have to wait for to wear out. You do also have the A button. The A button will do your fists. Your fists are stronger but slower. Very easy to understand, really. I can use this ranged attack on this guy. It's basically a bomb, but it didn't really do much. And I still beat the crap out of him anyway, so it's not like it matters. Most of the enemies here I've already seen. These artillery bastards are definitely new. But everything else is nice and ordinary. Also the red themed guys here. You do have a dodge button. You can dodge, I believe, up to 3 times before the game forces you to take a break. And you do have nothing on the shoulder buttons. And you've already seen the menu that you can access via the, well, for me it's the select button. For regular players it will be the minus button. And other than that, that's basically it. You don't really have that much else to work with. The rest is entirely combat. It is very simple combat. There are a few things that I haven't entirely gone over yet, like that's a combo right there. I believe every time you land a hit on someone, every time you land a hit, not every time you kill someone, but every time you land a hit, you gain experience points for that particular weapon. And if I hit the select button again, you can see all the different combos and what levels they need to be for me to unlock them. Some are not that useful. Some are very useful. But most are not entirely as effective as, say, a good old-fashioned beatdown using just your regular attacks. Kind of a shame, really, because considering that you get your most... Considering that you get your most useful attacks right off the bat, it just makes things a little bit disappointing when you unlock new combos, because new combos in this game just don't come in that much use. I mean, sure, if you have a very specific moment that you want to pull out, like the freeze ray attack on, go right ahead, but really, you'd be better off just getting in close and dealing as much damage as possible, because that seems to be the best way to go about things. And it makes the combat just not as interesting as it has the potential to be. Most of the enemies follow the same pattern. AKA, well, they have patterns, more or less, right? You wait for them to attack, you get out of the way, and then you attack back. Since most of the enemies in this game are, well, not so much similar, but at the same time, you don't get that much in the way of enemy variety. You only get, like, one or two new units per thing, and most of the new things that I've seen so far, this is the 3rd out of, I believe, at least 4 areas. You just get monsters that have elemental differences, like the 2 punches and the whip each have their own. It's not an elemental thing. That's the best way I have to. That's the best thing I have to compare it. It's literally just. This is the start point. God damn it. It's literally just sometimes you'll be able to do damage with one of them, and sometimes you won't be able to. There's a bunch of things that you have to deal with in the 2nd level. Cheeky bastard. So, outside of the combat, basically just having the 3 moves and, you know, sometimes they'll have, like, sometimes you'll get a decent combo. This is an experience statue, by the way. I'll just get all of that. And that just gives me some bonus experience. Other than that, the gameplay really doesn't have that much to it. It's a satisfying system. Everything hits with a good amount of ferocity. It's really nice, actually. And the combos themselves, I mean, if you find a good use for a combo, then, you know, feel free to use it. But with the amount of enemies that are just flying around all over the place in this game, finding a good use for all the combos you have just feels almost impossible just because there are always going to be a bunch of enemies around that are able to capitalize on the fact that you are basically vulnerable now, so it can get kind of frustrating, I gotta say. Little cutscene coming up. Yeah, this guy is basically... He's got some kind of incurable disease, going through some experimental treatment, and it's creating this world. It's very odd. It was also quite obvious. I think they were trying to hide it. Hello. He's asleep. I'm guessing I'm gonna have to go find an item to wake him up. So, yeah, okay. Finally, got a checkpoint. Alright, so you do get checkpoints. It's not permadeath, thank Christ. But it's... I'm not gonna say it's not a hard game, but it's certainly not the most interesting combat that I've ever played because of just... Hello, messy me. 1, 2... Is this a whip? Nope. I'm not gonna say it's the most interesting combat I've ever played. It does work. It just... I've been through 2 whole worlds of this. There's a bloody thing up there and I can't see him for the goddamn foreground art. Just send that down there. It's just not that interesting just because the enemy variety isn't that great. And you've only got 3 attacks, and you just don't get that much in the way of variety. Sure, you do have the combos, but you don't really have that much use for the combos. I have to do this whole mastermind puzzle again, so if you don't mind, I'm going to shut up and try and remember what this all is. Okay, whip, 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 sword. Red, green, blue, green, red. Red, green, blue, green, red. They do this a lot. It's annoying. Why do you make me play flippin' Mastermind? But anyway. Combine that with the level design. The level design in this game is very simple. The way it works is more or less... See how the checkpoint there has arrows for you? That's literally the game saying go this way. Sometimes you'll be able to go into another direction and it'll lead you towards another item, or it'll lead you towards like a little bit of bonus experience or some more enemies to fight, which again will give you more bonus experience. But really, other than that, the levels are just like simple mazes. Like you don't get a mini-map, but to be fair, you don't really need one. And you just end up going through them and not really seeing anything too far out of the ordinary outside of a mastermind puzzle every few rooms. Maybe you got to go find some extra items, like in the second area where you had to go find 3 items that were scattered to the corners. Really basic stuff. Nothing that really breaks the mold or does anything particularly interesting or different. I will give the combat credit for at least being enjoyable on top of all of this. Because, yeah, there's a few different kinds of enemies and, oh, apparently I was being, oh, those spikes. Okay, screw you, game. But yeah, those are spikes. Walk through that. Checkpoint, so if I go to the left, I'll get some bonus stuff. Ooh, that was a bad idea. Yeah, the combat is satisfying when you've got all the different kinds of enemies introduced and you have a ton of things that you just need to avoid and dodge, and meanwhile just try and get your own attacks out in the meantime. That all works perfectly well, but I'm worried that the game is going to get really repetitive after a while. Just purely because of that. I mean, That's basically all this game is, right? You go into the maze, you find out what you need to do, you go do it, and the combat doesn't really change at any point. Like, I've been through the first 2 worlds, this is world 3, and it still doesn't feel any particularly different. It reminds me a lot of, what's that game? Kamiko. You remember Kamiko? Also came out on the Switch from the people who made, whoops. Walked right into the fire there. From, Christ, I can't remember their bloody name now, but yeah. You remember that game? Reminds me a lot of that. It's just, like, you go through these gauntlets, and you just try and... Hell, you can even skip most of these. I'm gonna skip these guys and see if I can find a checkpoint before I get my ass kicked in. I don't think that's gonna happen at this point, but... Oh, hey, checkpoint. I've been wrong before! Alright. Considering the game's got no... Other than just unlocking the simple combos, considering the game's got no way of upgrading your character or making you more powerful, just the combos just doesn't feel like enough to keep the game's combat interesting. There's only so long that you can go about using the same set of moves before it starts to get dull. If they had more interesting ways to play around with your moveset, maybe I wouldn't be too annoyed about it, but it just seems to be... Whoops. It just seems to... Oh dear. I didn't realize that I even hit that. I'm guessing what I'm trying to say is avoid this game if you're easily bored. I think that's what kind of the point is, because I've spent... This has got to be at least an hour and a half, possibly 2 hours. I haven't been keeping close track, and the game doesn't keep track for you. But I've been playing this game for about 2 hours, and I'm starting to get sick of the mechanics just because they're so repetitive, and they don't introduce that many enemies to play around with, and I might as well talk about the boss fight, because the chance of me getting to the boss fight at this rate is pretty low, because people can run through these stages pretty quick if they know what they're doing, but at the same time, I don't really want to do that, because I want to show you guys what the actual gameplay looks like. The problem with the bosses, you would think the bosses would be some neat little... You'd think the bosses would be neat challenges, right? You know, just constantly dodging around them, trading blows, and just, you know, having fun like that. Well, the 2 bosses I fought have all been invincible bosses where you have to utilize gimmicks to beat them. Like, the first boss, I had to wait until he dropped a specific kind of bomb, then I had to, you know, knock that bomb into him specifically. And then the second boss was literally kill nothing but the little grunt dudes that appear because they power the towers you use to make the guys explode. That was basically it, and I can't imagine it changing. If they put 2 gimmick bosses... Excuse me. If they put 2 gimmick bosses in as the first 2 bosses, I have no reason to believe they're going to do different kinds of bosses. Here comes one of the more annoying rooms of the game where they change what attacks can hurt what dudes. At least it comes with the upside that you hit them with the right attack and they'll go down faster, so you don't have to worry too much. Still kind of annoying to have to deal with it though, and I'll just whip that up there. See if I can explode them before the elemental stuff comes back into play. Actually did alright. So it's just kind of annoying that a game with such a neat combat system can't figure out a decent way to, you know, do boss combat. It's surprisingly disappointing, damn it. This happens a lot, if you couldn't tell. That's kind of the point. And I'm all the way back here. Once you get to the checkpoint, thankfully the way behind you tends to clear out, but... Oh wait, am I back at the same place? I must have done a loop-de-loop. This game's weird like that. It's got a bunch of these like maze-like levels that just are a bit annoying to traverse. Wrong attacks. Right attacks. The game's performance is fine. I've been playing it a little bit on handheld and mostly on television mode, and it doesn't slow down or lose frames or anything like that. It seems to be doing alright. I think I noticed it like once, and that was like when a level was just finishing loading in. So, you know, I've seen worse. I've dealt with worse. It's seriously not that bad. The game recommends that you play with headphones, and I'm not entirely sure why, just because this game doesn't seem to be particularly amazing on the sound front, and there's not that much in the way of sound cues. You're better off relying on visual cues for enemy attacks in this game than anything else in particular. Another cutscene time, but there was a checkpoint there, thankfully, so... Oh, I can walk around on this one. That was odd. Checkpoint. And things just continue on like this. Seriously. It takes ages for the game to introduce new enemies, and when they do, they're just like somewhat interesting, but not really after a few fights variations on enemies you've already fought. And that's basically it, more or less. I don't think it's a bad game, I just think it needs more variety. That's really all it needs. It needs more enemies, more weapons, more just general challenge would be nice. I mean, even on hard mode when I'm trying to talk to people, I'm not having as much trouble as I thought I would. I mean, sure, I've died a couple of times, but that's just kind of to be expected on a game that's trying to be hard like this. I mean, sure, there is an arena mode, but I mean, it's just going to be the same bloody enemies anyway, and I haven't even unlocked it yet, so I assume it's one of those post-game challenges that everybody loves to put in games like these so much, instead of having them be available from the very beginning for people who actually want to test if they're good at this shit or not. Just wait for that. Unfortunately, surrounded by that... For fuck's sake, get out... You get over here. Yeah, you die. Bloody maze stages, I tell ya. But yeah, also, you know, bosses that, like, actually rely on the game's combat mechanics and don't rely on bloody gimmicks, because, seriously, gimmicks in a game like this is kind of annoying. I'm guessing that's one of the main reasons people like Dark Souls, because despite the fact that those games did have gimmick bosses from time to time, for the most part they didn't. Giant rabbit. Giant lamp rabbit. Alright, if you insist. I really do like the combat system. I just think it needs more. Like, more of everything would be fantastic, if you don't mind. Alright. Green, blue, red. Yep. Red, green, blue, green, red, green, blue, red. I assume I need to take this guy out before the lamp rabbit will speak to me. No, apparently not. Alright. What is this? It takes me back up here? Are you serious? Oh, let me guess. He's still asleep. Turn that back on, please? Okay, Mr. Demon, whatever you say. No, apparently I can't turn it back on. Maybe I have to go over to that path on the left. Walk through that. Another door over there. I just love how I can skip most of the combat just by warping through it. Even found a checkpoint just by doing some crazy warps. I might as well stand and fight for this one. Wow, it's been 25 minutes already. This probably isn't my most verbose video that I've ever done. Tries to get these things back up. Have to. Ooh. Ah. Damn it. I was hoping this would be the actual way to the whatever it is I'm looking for, but no, it's just the. It's just a experienced booster thingy. And I'm still pretty far away from him. Oh, well, if I... Whoops, ow. If I just do a few punches with my gauntlets, I will probably get a new attack, and I can demonstrate that on video, and then I think we can call it, because, seriously, wandering around in these stages takes bloody ages. Oh, there it is. So, dip. Wait, what combo did I just unlock? Oh, dip. Oh, it just leaves a... Okay, it turns one of them into a bomb. That's interesting. And I just leveled... Yeah, okay. That was the attack I was thinking of. A little odd, but okay. Not entirely sure why you would want to use that. But that works, I guess? Apparently I do still have to go down this way. Yep, there we go. Yeah, you know what? I think we're going to call it here. You've seen about half an hour of this game, and... Well, honestly, I don't really want to play it anymore because it's starting to bore me, but... If it had more variety of pretty much everything imaginable, I would be way more of a fan of it, but right now, I find it hard to really get into. Maybe when it goes on sale around to the price of something like Kamiko, I could probably recommend it, but... For its relative simplicity, I just find it hard to recommend at full price, so... Hopefully that 27 minutes of combat has given you a better idea, or well, more like 20 minutes of combat. Hopefully that 20 minutes of combat has given you a better idea of whether or not you'll be able to take this for their full asking price. Which I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm going to guess it's like anywhere between $15 to $20. That's my guess. I'll probably know when this video has gone up, because it's probably not going to go up until next week. So that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, this has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.